Ever heard of buying a house for the price of unpaid taxes? Tax auctions can be a gold mine for savvy real estate investors and savvy buyers. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to buy a house at tax auction. I'll guide you step by step on how to buy a house at tax auction, avoid the pitfalls, and maximize your investment. First, what is a tax auction? A tax auction happens when a property owner fails to pay their property taxes. A lot of counties and states, it's 2 years. And the local tax government, basically, the local government seizes the property to recover the unpaid tax amount. These properties are often sold to the highest bidder, often at prices well below market value. It's a great opportunity, but it comes with risks that you need to understand and we'll cover in this video. So what are the types of tax auctions? There are two main types, and it varies by state. So there's tax liens or tax deeds. Tax lien sales, you buy the tax debt, not the property. So if an owner doesn't pay, you may foreclose and take ownership of the property. Tax deed sales, you're actually buying the property outright, often free and clear of the previous owner's debts. But you got to check your state's rules. Some states only have lien sales, some have deed sales only, and some actually are both. So dive into your local county and start there probably to just understand the process and what the different rules are. So preparing for a tax auction. Here's what you need to do before you start bidding. First, you want to research the auction. You want to find out where and when the auctions happen. And it's usually through your local tax assessor or treasury's office. And I'll share an example in a second. You also want to know the rules. You want to read up on the bidding process, the payment requirements, and what other properties are kind of being sold as is condition. And then you want to inspect the property. You want to drive by, look at the exterior. Most auctions don't allow a walkthrough. And then you also want to check the titles too to make sure there's no other liens or hidden debts that you will inherit. Preparation is really key to avoiding these costly surprises. So in addition, use free tools out there like Zillow and Realtor.com to understand, here's where all the properties are in this neighborhood. They're selling for X on a fixer-upper, Y, everything nicely done. So understanding that helps. Now, if you're able to drive by the property and kind of gauge the exterior and interior condition through the windows, you'll be able to understand more. But for tax sales, I would just assume it needs full renovation in most cases, and you can kind of do a drive-by to see how bad the exterior is. Does it need a new roof, landscaping, siding, windows, etc., and kind of add that to the full interior rehab that you have to estimate. So what I want to show next is an example of a local county, and this is going to be a tax deed state, and we picked a county in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'll share my screen now here. We go here. All I simply did was I typed in Bucks County, PA, tax sale, and I clicked on this link, and it took me to the upset and judicial sales. And this site here for Bucks County, this is a northern suburb of Philadelphia, and it kind of tells us about two types of sales. There's the upset sale, and we'll go to the bottom here, and then there's the judicial sale. And usually what the process is first the property, after 2 years of not being paid taxes, goes up for the upset sale. And that's usually in September of each year. Registration begins probably like 6 weeks before that, and you have until 2 weeks before the register. And that's when they start listing the properties on the PDF, and I'll show an example. And then once the property goes to that auction, that's the date you actually go to the courthouse and you do all your bidding. And a lot of times with the upset sale is you get there, you have your printed PDF of all the properties, what you want to bid on, and what the maximum bid is based on your research. And a lot of them, when you get there, are going to be pulled back because someone paid the taxes in time. So be prepared for that fluidity of the list on the day of auction. Now, for any properties that don't go to the judicial or don't make it through the upset sale, like no one bid on it, for example, and they go to the judicial sale, it's almost like round two. It's the creme de la creme is gone. It's the leftovers essentially. And this one is usually in April in this county. And here's the registration dates. And that is an example of this county in Pennsylvania. Now, if we do for this judicial sale, what it looks like here, it's just a PDF, parcel number, what township, the property, legal description, property owners, all public records here. And I guess the way that wrapped it around wasn't nicely. And this is like basically what their opening bid price would be. And it's usually for the value of the unpaid taxes. And then you bid up higher because the property is usually worth a lot more. So that is the example of the local one here in Bucks. And then if you go here, sale results, they actually post the sale results of what things sold for essentially. That's a sale here. And you kind of see the other thing I want to be clear of, a lot of these properties, I've been to this tax sale before years ago. A lot of them were lots. So if you're not looking to buy land, half of them might have been, if I recall correctly, this is going back a few years, lots and land. If you're looking to buy a property, scratch them off your list. So it's going to vary by county across the country, but I'm just giving you inside knowledge based on what I dealt with before at this county. Now that we talked about and it showed a local county, what happens bidding at the auction on the day of. And when you go in, right, you already did your market analysis. So for each line item in that PDF, you have a max bid number that you don't want to go over, take emotions out of it. So you kind of like you're setting your budget, think of it that way, and stick to it. Bidding wars could happen and you don't want to overpay. And you're going to have to bring cash or certified funds because many auctions are going to require immediate payment on the tax auctions, and just stay calm and focused. And I actually recommend your first auction, don't bid. Go to learn the experience. It's like a practice before the real game. You kind of see who the players are, how it happens, take notes, and then when you actually go to bid on it, you'll be calm and focused, and you know what to expect at the next tax sale. And again, remember, when winning the bid is just a start, right? You're going to need to close the deal and then handle additional steps like renovations and everything else if you plan to buy, renovate, and resell, or buy, renovate, refi, and rent out. So bidding's the easy part, I guess, before the real work starts. Now, after winning the auction, so let's just say you win a bid, you're gonna have to pay immediately most times. For most auctions, they'll kind of require full payment within 1 to 2 days. And you want to get the deed. We'll stick to the judicial sale here. If you're a lien sale, you want to get the lien certificate, and that proves you have ownership or claim of the property. And then you want to handle any post-purchase steps like clearing any remaining issues with evictions, repairs, or title cleanups. Because a lot of times these properties, someone might be living in them still. So be ready for these potential challenges like previous owners refusing to vacate or any unexpected major repair costs. So what are some of the risk and rewards of tax auctions? The rewards, right? You could get a home for far, far below market value. And it's a great potential for flipping property or rental income. The risks, though, are the hidden costs and the unknowns, right? You're not looking at the property beforehand, and you don't have pictures, so you're guessing a lot of times what the inside looks like, assuming it needs full renovations. Hopefully, it doesn't have any structural issues or septic tank issues, et cetera, if you're living in an area with septic. And with this limited information, all right, all these properties are sold as is. You can't go back and negotiate like you would with a traditional sale on repairs. So it's a kind of a high risk, high reward opportunity. So just be prepared. And some final thoughts are, buying a house at tax auction can be an incredible way to get into real estate, but it's not for the faint of heart. I recommend you doing your research, understanding the local market values, what it takes to renovate a house to get to those top dollar market values, understanding the risks that we covered in this video, but understanding there are also plenty of opportunities. So if you got a lot of value in this video, please smash the like button and share with somebody you think might be valuable. And we got a lot of other great auction videos here that I'll share in the notes below on just different auctions, how to determine a winning bid,